Heavy Metal and Metal Hurlant Special H.P. Lovecraft Issues Part 2. By the way, there's a special issue of Lovecraftiana, the magazine of Eldritch Horror, a Halloween issue with cover art and interior art by yours truly. I have the link in the description, so please check it out if you get a chance. I think you'll enjoy it. Some great stories in this. Really nice work by Druillet. Now, as we see here, of course, he's drawing parallels to Lovecraft and the Fishmen of Innsmouth. I think Druillet successfully delivers the look of the Necronomicon. So you're kind of a Cthulhuid creature there. This is also in Heavy Metal, but not as much of it. It is like several pages short, as we will see. And we have Three Houses of Seth here by Dominique Hay, the artist. It's also really quite good. Love this stuff. Not sure at all what this is based upon. The Two Lives of Basil Wolverton by Yves Chaland. This is not in the Heavy Metal Lovecraft issue. All of the great Metal Hurlant and related art books you can get, which is really quite nice indeed. Of course, the posters, always available as well. Extremely rare nowadays. Here we go, of course, with Nicolay and HPL. There's Lovecraft up there, close up. So great. Great stuff. Moebius, Cthulhu. Now this is also in Heavy Metal magazine, the Lovecraft issue. Love the colors. Just digging the shit out of those colors, folks. Now this is Veppy and Seppi with Plat du Jour. Just a weirdness. Not directly Lovecraft based. This is Cornillon with The Bridge Over Water. The Bridge Over the Water. Calchamar. Or Calchamar. I'm not quite sure. It means nightmare. Now this is Alex Nino. My good friends, if you couldn't already immediately tell, you just got that, you know, it's got the Nino effect all over the place. And of course, Nino did a lot of stuff for Metal Hurlant and Heavy Metal, needless to say. And he also famously did the graphic novel adaptation of Theodore Sturgeon's fantastic More Than Human. Just spectacular stuff. I love that. That is just beautiful. Now here's Lovecraft in the cinema. This is another article that they don't have in Heavy Metal or anything like it for that matter. Keep in mind that when this was written, 1977, 1978, Stuart Gordon had not started making his films. So there was no Reanimator, there was no Dagon, From Beyond, none of that stuff. But there were films like, of course, Die Monster Die, The Haunted Palace. Die Monster Die was based upon Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space, loosely. And The Shuttered Room. I vaguely remember that one. 1969, that just god-awful film called The Dunwich Horror, which is nothing like The Dunwich Horror, folks. It's just a travesty. I don't know why they even attempted it. The Abomination of Dunwich, or The Dunwich Horror. I'm going to show you a quick picture right now of Dean Stockwell as Wilbur Whateley. He never changes. He looks like this. In The Dunwich Horror, Wilbur Whateley looks somewhat weird. Several months after birth, he's walking and talking, and several years later, he reaches 7 feet in height. He looks like this. He looks like a goat boy. That's, I mean, definitely he's got this animalistic look about him. Dean Stockwell just looks like a handsome Dean Stockwell who's nuts. This is Wilbur Whately, dying. And you can see where he's changing here. Highly recommended, folks. Read the story. The Dunwich Horror is just one of the great H.P. Lovecraft stories. The art is very good. I think he lays it out the way that it should be laid out for this story, because there is, it's a long story. It's kind of teetering on a novella, as I recall. A lot going on, and I think it's a good way to do it. The art is very good. And that ends the Metal Hurlant issue with a great Lovecraft portrait on the back, once again by Richard Martins. Now let's take a look at Heavy Metal, October of 1979, the special Lovecraft issue. And as I said before, this is a J.K. Potter cover. He does like photo montage type of art, very popular in the 70s and 80s. Little Norman Spinrad here, A World Between. Of course, here we have the SPI, which is a gaming company. Here we go with the contents page, and as we will see, several of these are in the Metal Hurlant Lovecraft issue, and some aren't. Some of these are additions, like for instance, there's an Arthur Suidem, Bad Breath, page 82, which we will take a look at. But let's take a quick gander here. We've got Final Justice by Chateau. The Dunwich Horror, of course, is in Metal Hurlant, as is Cthulhu by Moebius. Zeno meets Dr. Fear and is consumed. Of course, The Thing, which is the statement of Randolph Carter, by Voss. The Beasts by Dank. The Man from the Black Hole by Clerc. HPL by Nicolet. Lovecraft by Sean Kelly. Dewsbury's masterpiece, of course, in Metal Hurlant. The Necronomicon, but it's a little bit different. We're going to take a look at that and see what the differences are. The Language of Cats by Clavelot. Pick a pack. Job has your size. One of the things that's kind of underwhelming about the Heavy Metal Lovecraft issue is the intro. This is it, folks. And there is no bibliography in here. There's no article about Lovecraft or his letters, as in Metal Hurlant. And it's kind of a snarky editorial. HPL, it remains to this day a matter fit only for terrified and whispered speculation in these parts, why an obscure, not to say widely scorned, author of explicitly horrifying prose narratives written in a clumsy and overblown style uncannily similar to the eon-long and labyrinthine one you are at present nodding over, should be the object of cult-like veneration among the French. Where the fuck did they get that from? I mean, Lovecraft at this point, late in the 70s, is popular worldwide, in the United States as well. I don't know where these guys, maybe they were taking a long nap. Pretty much what they did, I think, Heavy Metal just saw the Metal Hurlant Lovecraft issue and that it was popular. They're like, hey, let's make some bucks and do a Lovecraft issue. And reprint a bunch of the Metal Hurlant stuff. Then we'll put in some new stuff that's not really related to Lovecraft, but we don't give a shit. The Encyclopedia of Science Fiction presents, yes, with the foreword by Isaac Asimov. Right there. Final Justice by Chateau. Nice art. Very classic style. Kind of a gothic story. Now here's the Breccia Dunwich Horror, of course, which is in Metal Hurlant. Of course, we have Moebius Cthulhu. Zeno meets Dr. Fear and is consumed. Really interesting art. It is vaguely Lovecraftian. It's reminiscent of some much older art style, like getting back to the 16th, 17th centuries, perhaps. Voss and The Thing, the statement of Randolph Carter. And the way that Voss does this is really cool. With the way that he splits the images, very unusual. comic style here with the panels that are completely asymmetrical. The Beasts. This is The Man from the Black Hole by Clerc. In the Metal Hurlant issue, it is black and white. Now that was published a year before this one came out. So that was September of 1978. This is October of 79. So somewhere in that span, it was colorized. We arrive at Nicolet and his tale, HPL, which is also in the Metal Hurlant issue. Lovecraft. Now this is not in the Metal Hurlant. Really cool illustration. And naturally we come to excerpts from the Necronomicon. These are excerpts from a book illustrated by Druillet. And the book is rather rare. So if you find one, reasonably priced, snag it, because there aren't many copies. As you can see, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. In the Metal Hurlant issue, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages. A much better excerpt. I highly recommend, if people are interested in the Lovecraft illustrated issue, to get this Metal Hurlant issue if you can find it. Pat and Vivian. Here's the story that appears in another issue of Metal Hurlant, not the Lovecraft, because it's not really Lovecraft. In any case, it's kind of a, joke kind of thing. Margarine does a lot of humor, and when he does horror or science fiction, it's usually humorous as well. The Alchemist's Notebook, vaguely Lovecraftian. This is prose by David Hurd and William Bates. Funky-ass illustration of Cthulhu. And here we go with the continuation from page 24 of Breccia's The Dunwich Horror. Arthur Suydam. The guy is still kicking butt. He's showing up at conventions everywhere. As I'm doing this, I know he's at a convention, I believe, in Texas. One of the original Metal Hurlant alumni. He was in the first year. He had at least one published piece in Metal Hurlant, and of course he showed up in the pages of Heavy Metal. I love his style. Just really, really nice, naturalistic cartoon style. There's a certain Bernie Wrightson kind of vibe to his work. Here is Vepi and Seppi, The Agony Column. As you recall, in the Metal Hurlant Lovecraft edition, Heavy Metal t-shirts, Gray Morrow painting. And that ends the Lovecraft issue. There are magazines and books today, Lovecraftian magazines, such as, for instance, Lovecraftiana. Yes, and this is my art, folks, on the cover. Plus Cthulhuvian art by Mike T. Leiden. So I did the cover. I've got illustrations on the inside. You can get this on Amazon. There's a black and white of that beauty, which is, of course, the Brown Jenkin from Dreams in the Witch House with the Lovecraft sigil in the background. Horror at Red Hook. What a story. It's one of my favorite Lovecrafts. It's disturbing on several levels. Here's another illustration I did of the old gent, kind of my cosmic horror tribute to Lovecraft. And you can get this on Amazon. The link is in the description if you're interested. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.